When it comes to the upcoming Mortal Kombat reboot, one thing I see get brought up frequently is the character of Cole. Why does this character exist? Especially with a franchise with so many iconic characters that you couldn't use another established one, you had to invent your own? Well, let's hear from the director and the producer and why they say Cole Young exists. So when it comes to the Mortal Kombat reboot, a lot of people want to know why does Cole Young exist as a character. Is it going to be something that taps into the deeper lore of Mortal Kombat and ends up being some sort of big revelation? Is he a completely original character? And if so, why does he exist as our main character? Because couldn't you have just told the story through the eyes of Liu Kang again? And I can agree with this, except there is a problem that I, as somebody who loves Mortal Kombat, my wife loves it. We know people that come over to our house, they see Mortal Kombat, they never want to get into it. They can't get into it because the lore is too complex. They've tried, they just don't get it. It's something where it's almost like, look, you have to be in it to understand it, and you have to dig in deeper. If you're just somebody on the periphery looking in, you're sort of left in the dark. And it was revealed by the director and the producer that this is the exact reason that Cole Young exists. It's to bring in new people through his eyes and introduce you to the rich world and lore of Mortal Kombat. And I 100% agree with this choice. I said this back when I was talking about the trailer. I think it makes sense because if you have somebody that's always sat on the outside of Mortal Kombat and looked into the fandom, there's a lot of cool aspects. Maybe you're like, oh man, that blue ninja looks really cool. Sub-Zero, I've heard of that. I want to get in. And then you look up Sub-Zero and you're treated to so much lore and exposition and stuff that unless you really, really want to get into it and get into the nitty-gritty, you feel like a stranger, and it's too much. Cole exists for the purpose to lead new audiences into this world, to give them a new take on it. So when he asks, what is Mortal Kombat? The exposition, the delivery can be explained to him, but also the audience. When he questions, how did these people have powers? Well, here's your explanation. Why do you have metal arms? Here's your explanation. Okay, so like he can bring us into this world. And again, I think this is a smart choice. Like, can you imagine if something like the MCU started with Guardians of the Galaxy? That would not have been as big of a success because we don't have the gradual ramp up to bring us to the believability of that franchise. Mortal Kombat has to take a step back and restart. And I know people will say, well, it worked with Liu Kang. True, but most of the people that saw the 90s film were already Mortal Kombat fans. This needs to open up to a new audience, and they're hoping that that's what it does with a character like Cole Young being your entry point.